and welcome to Survivor Everything. I'm your host, Liam, and we finally got the premiere of the season that airs before Survivor Season 50, and we get to talk about it. Hopefully this season is better than Survivor 48, and we can remember this one as a good standalone season for what it is, and a great setup to Survivor 50, which we even see production try to do in their intro for this season. I'm excited for this season, even if one of the main reasons for it is that it seems like this will be the death of the new era, with the fan votes from Survivor 50 hopefully setting some balance in the Survivor universe. Enough with the rambling though, let's talk about the premiere of Survivor 49. The season starts off with the same type of narrational opening that we got in Survivor 46, with Jay Wan setting the stage for how Survivor is going to be, and a nice dramatic entrance that I'm sure it must feel awesome for Jawan to see how he is the intro for the season itself. Now, this could just be the biggest red herring in Survivor history, with production playing meta mind games on us, on levels we can't even comprehend. But Savannah, the already predicted winner of this season due to the Survivor 50 tribal format that we all know about, gets a winner quote within minutes of the first episode. Like I said, this could be production throwing us off, or it could be them just saying screw it. The audience already knows, let's just make this a well-edited story. The three tribes we get here are Kelly, Yuli, and Hina, and they get to the beach and Jeff does his initial spiel about the game, and then we get the edits to all these previous players who have changed the game somehow. And I'm pretty sure the only players they focus on that aren't in Survivor 50 are Boston Rob and Parvati, and that's just due to production bias towards those players. The first challenge starts off with all three tribes fighting for supplies, and a physical, then puzzle type challenge that we're all aware of in the new era. We see that Jake dominates in this challenge for the Kaylee tribe, but the rest of the tribe is lackluster physically, especially when it comes to Jeremiah and Nicole, who stole the whole challenge down for Kelly. By the end of it, Hina wins, sending a member from both the other tribes to fight on a 1-on-1 for the supplies. The Riz God himself and Alex from Keeley both volunteer for their respective tribes, and no one hesitates to say otherwise. So those two go. The challenge is finding 10 coconuts on your tribe color, retrieving the puzzle pieces inside, making the puzzle to reveal where you dig up the ship wheel to spin a ship flag up to the top of the pole. It's a lot simpler than it sounds, and Alex is smoking Rizzo in the first two parts of the challenge, finding coconuts and solving the puzzle quickly, but struggles with the digging. Rizzo is the complete opposite of Alex, taking forever to retrieve his coconuts, and not even opening all of them to solve his puzzle, making it impossible for him to figure it out until he realizes his puzzles are missing. At the end though, Rizzo digs like a dog and finds that wheel, leaving Alex defeated in a crazy comeback. While all this was going on, we see the tribes doing their initial interactions. Justin from Hina has hearing aid, and he is more worried about it making him look weak or old, which I thought the latter was odd. But I was also more shocked he wasn't worried about making him look sympathetic in front of a final jury, especially how accomplished he is in his real life, even with having a disability. He really does seem too nice for Survivor though, like I said during my cast assessment, but I also said the same thing for Kyle from Survivor 48, so what do I know? Matt, the oldest player in the whole game, also talks to us about what it's like to be his age with all these younger players, not understanding some of the more cultural relevant stuff that we know or do, like playing some Smash Bros. Christina Mills is another player we focus on out of Hina, seeing how she really is like Suri, as she said, not being adjusted for the outdoors, even being afraid of the birds she sees. I think her and Austin from Pearl Islands would be good friends. Over at Keeley, we see relationships starting to form. I think it's a bit funny how production put 2 Canadians and 2 gay people on the same tribe, hoping that would make instant connections for them, and then it's talked about once right away here and never spoken about again, and those players barely talk to each other within this episode. It's like putting Rudy and Richard on the same tribe in Borneo, hoping for them to clash, only for the opposite to happen, which is the same to happen here but in reverse. Spoilers, but Nicole will be voted out this episode, leaving the LGBT connections that Nicole and Jeremiah have to the wayside, and Jake forms a trio alliance with Sophie and Alex, trying to form a majority, and I don't see Jake and Jeremiah being Canadian bros either, since Jeremiah isn't in that alliance. Speaking of that trio, we see Sophie here, who wanted to meet Chill before the game even started, and now she has Jake as one, and Alex as one as well. And it's great for her game plan to control this game from the shadows and just let Jake and Alex take the fall along the way. By this point alone, maybe it's just because Kaylee's going to tribal council, but I feel like Hina won't get a lot of screen time due to their constant winning and getting along with each other, while Kaylee will get their focus from being the disaster tribe, and Uli will just get focus just to give Savannah and Rizzo screen time for obvious reasons. Going to Uli, we see that Nate, the Marvel producer, who I feel like will get a big threat level, especially if he exposes his actual job, starts off by exposing an earlier job he had in the same field. Now, I know a PA for Spider-Man 2 isn't a luxurious job, but if this guy slips up too much about his job or his lifestyle, it could get ugly for Nate's game really quick. Savannah also seems to be very savvy here, saying that everything is great among the Uli tribe and how it can't last forever, but she will play along for now, with the show really trying to set up Savannah here with the winner quote and hearing her strategize while others socialize. Sage, the girl who I said would be a pre-merge boot, starts prediction off good for me. She talks about wanting to hear about people at Aqua Dumps and saying she loves poop, and it turns off Nate, as it does most, with him saying that her lack of a filter makes it hard for her to be a good secret ally. I think the real death nail in her game is the fact that she criticizes the Riz God for going off and attempting the challenge for the tribe, saying how important socializing at the start of the game is compared to the supplies, but this is cut to Rizzo coming back and everyone loving him for it. Of course, the person performing the worst socially is criticizing Rizzo, when it might have been even better for her game to have gone and get the supplies to increase for usefulness, and also no one hears about her early game comments about loving fecal matter. It's a win-win for everyone's game on Uli. Though I would say it was better that Rizzo got the supplies himself, since he was able to accomplish something huge for his tribe and for himself personally, and I really understood where Rizzo was coming from during his emotional moment after winning the supplies. Back at Hina, we see the tribe struggling to make fire, and Matt is holding back his ton. It's nice to see Matt strategizing in this social game already, showing he came here to play, and it's funny how Justin is always saying how empathetic he is in his pregame, and he's kind of right here, because he can easily read that Matt is dying to make fire, but is patiently staying off to the side to let the rest try. And once Matt tries, he starts the fire almost instantaneously. We also hear from Justin later on how scary it is to play the game with a hearing disability, since paranoia sets in when he can't hear his other tribe mates' voices. It leaves more room for them to be talking about him and he can't do anything about it. But we also see in a quick scene of Justin and Matt forming an alliance, as it seems, with those two being the only real players to get any substantial content on the Hina tribe, which hurts my Jason preseason alternate winner pick, but I was also strong in Matt's game too if he can prove himself quickly in the merge as he does in the Hina tribe. On Uli, we get a lot of content confessionals from Savannah, and not a single confessional from Rizzo. We see Shannon making everyone do some Coach Chia on the beach, and Savannah is not having it in confessionals. Even with that though, Savannah, Jawan, and Shannon all form an alliance and form a plan to bring in another to make a majority. Jawan talks with 3 players outside the trio alliance one by one, with Sage definitely being the last pick, but with all this being clear that Jawan is playing hard, maybe a little too hard. When we get to the next scene of Jawan getting frustrated or not making fire, with him walking off to take a breather, Savannah is not impressed by this and how easily her alliance member gets overwhelmed. Now I actually think Jawan handled this fine, especially since we don't know how long he was trying, but production wants us to be on Savannah's side, listening and agreeing to what Savannah is saying. So when we see Savannah talking to Nate, it seems more clear that Nate will take this 4th alliance member slot. Maybe they'll even cut Jawan and replace him with Rizzo, but no matter what, it seems like Sage is at the bottom of the Uli tribe. Back at Keeley, we get a majority of content, especially strategic here. We first hear Jake has a newborn son on the way, and he'll be born while he's off playing the game, trying to win for his newly formed family, as well as playing this for his dad with glaucoma, so he can watch Jake play before the illness turns him blind. Super strong backstory is that Jake isn't afraid we'll get him voted off, which he should watch out for. And we see the Keeley trio trying to make it a Keeley 4 alliance. Jeremiah seems to be trying to force a relationship with Jake, which Jake says yes to immediately, but it doesn't feel sincere to me. More sincerely, though, was Alex approaching Annie asking them to form an alliance, with Nicole being left out both, with Annie and Jeremiah now fighting for that 4th spot in the Keeley alliance. I'm going to give it to Annie, only because a member of the trio approached her, not a player approaching a member. And on a fun side note, Jake is hiding people's left shoes, and he plans on doing it for everyone as a side game, which is the type of chaos that's fun to watch. I will say that Jeremiah has a pseudo alliance with Sophie right now, but again, just like with Jake, I don't really know how strong that alliance is or how serious it is. At the Immunity Challenge, it's an obstacle course where you get birthed into the game, just like every premiere episode has. And at the end, there was a table snake maze that must be traversed in order to win. Hina dominates in this challenge again, leaving Uli and Keeley to fight for immunity, and it's clear who gets second place at this point by this episode. Nicole and Jeremiah kill a bunch of time for Keeley, and when it comes to the table maze, Nate, Sage, and Rizzo were just faster at it. There's not much to say here at this point. There's a scramble, and Nicole gets some content, but by the lack of content for her previously in this episode, and how every player in the Trio Alliance are fighting for a spot but Nicole, it's time for her to be the first boot of Survivor 49. I had her further in the game of my preseason predictions, but that was only if she could connect with people like I said, which she just couldn't here. I'm sure Sophie would have taken her further if she could have, but Nicole couldn't get a single other player to want to side with her right now, making her the player to finish in 18th place. Let's get to my 3 winner picks, which are subjected to change almost every episode once we get more and more info until I lock him in near the end. And right now in 3rd place, it's Nate Moore. This is a toss-up between Matt from Hina, but we've heard a lot more from Nate from Uli in the premiere than we did from him, and it was all good content from Nate, with the show setting him up to be a smart, cool-headed, and self-aware player. In 2nd place is Jake Latmere, the man who is running Keeley at the moment, and is the challenge beast that they can't afford to lose. We have him dominating challenges but being held down by his tribe, him strategizing and forming alliances, and him giving us heartfelt backstories, with his kid being born on the way and his father being sick. Just none of these two can beat the person in first place right now, Savannah Louie, the person who has gotten the most screen time on Uli, has a winner quote, and the person we're supposed to be listening to in all the confessionals. And is obviously the only tribe in Survivor 50 to not have an official winner on it, while the other tribes do. Unless it's a blatant rug pull from underneath our feet, it looks like Savannah is winning this game even from episode 1. And that's my thoughts on Survivor 49, and my top 3 winner picks. This was an alright premiere, with some fun moments. It just felt a little long for the content we got. I love the extra lengths we get in these episodes now since 45, but sometimes the content just doesn't justify it, and sometimes that's production's fault, sometimes it's the player's fault. I'm hoping for this to be a fun season though, with strong gameplay, as lots of players come out to play, not to make friends in this season, and that's very clear from what we've seen so far, and it's the opposite of Survivor 48, which is what I'm looking for. Don't forget to apply for the show. This is a prime time casting time, and I know I'll be applying again. Everybody grab your torches. I'll see you in the next one.